Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Gaur Hari Bol. कौन सा वर्ष है? हाँ? Okay, I was told 39. ठीक है, 45. Yesterday was which verse? 38. So why there is today 45? Huh? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, 11th Canto, 3rd chapter, Liberation from the Illusory Energy of Lord. Text number 45. Nacharet yastu vedoktam swayam agya jitendriya vikarmana hi adharmena mrityur mrityum upayati saha. Nacharet yastu vedoktam swayam agya jitendriya विकर्मणा हि अधर्मेण मृत्युर मृत्युम उपैति स. नाचरेत्यस्तु वेदोक्तं स्वयं अज्ञो जितेन्द्रिया विकर्मणा हि अधर्मेण मृत्युर मृत्युम उपैति स. Somebody can recite. Mataji's. Word to word meaning. Na acharet, does not perform. Yaha, who, tu, but. Veda uktam, what is prescribed in the Vedas? Swayam, himself. Agya, ignorant. Ajita indriya, not having learned to control his senses. Vikarmana, by not executing scriptural duty. He, indeed, dharmena, by his irreligion. Mrityur mrityum, death after death. Upaiti, achieves. Saha, he. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. If an ignorant person who has not conquered the material senses does not adhere to the Vedic injunctions, certainly he will engage in sinful and irreligious activities. Thus his reward will be repeated birth and death. In the previous verse, it was stated that all the fruitive activities are prescribed in the Vedas. The actual goal of human life is to free oneself from all materialistic activities. Therefore, one may conclude that there is no need to perform the Vedic rituals which offer regulated sense gratification. But an ignorant person, or in other words, one who has not understood that he is not the material body but an eternal spiritual soul, part and parcel of Krishna, will invariably be unable to control the urges of the material senses. Therefore, if such a materially inclined person neglects the Vedic injunctions that administer regulated sense gratification, he will surely fall down into unregulated sense gratification in papa or sinful life. For example, those who are affected by sexual desires are ordered to accept the Vivaha Yagya or religious marriage ceremony. We often see that because of the false pride, a so-called brahmachari or celibate student of Vedic knowledge rejects the marriage ceremony as Maya or material illusion. But if such a celibate student is unable to control his senses, he will undoubtedly degrade himself by eventually engaging in illicit sex, which has no connection to Vedic culture. Similarly, a neophyte in Krishna consciousness is encouraged to eat Krishna prasadam to his full satisfaction. Sometimes an immature practitioner of Bhakti Yoga tries to make a show of severe eating habits and eventually falls down into eating unregulated and abominable foodstuffs. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the word Mrityur Mrityum Upayati means that a sinful person is awarded a free ticket to hell by the Lord of Death himself, Yamraj. This is also described in the Vedas as follows: Mritva Punar Mrityum Apadayate Arthya Mana Swa Karmabhi. Person who cause themselves a severe pain by their materialistic activities gain no relief at the moment of death, for they are placed again in the situation in which death will occur. Therefore, Vedic ritualistic activities such as the wedding ceremony or relishing of the sumptuous yagya shishta or food remnants of sacrifice should not be given up by those whose senses are not yet controlled. The previous verse gave the example of a father administering candy to his son to induce the child to take medicine. If the child rejects the father's offer, thinking that the candy is unnecessary, the child is also missing the opportunity to take the medicine that will cure him. Similarly, if a materialistic person rejects the Vedic injunction that administers prescribed sense gratification, he will not be able to be purified, but instead will be further degraded. Srila Jiva Goswami has described a materialistic person as one whose mind and intelligence are not faithfully fixed in message of the Supreme Person of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna Bhagavan gives wonderful explanation of the conditioned souls represented by Arjuna concerning the actual goal of life. One who cannot fix his mind on these instructions is to be considered a materialistic person who is inclined towards sinful activities and who must therefore submit himself to standard Vedic injunction. Such Vedic injunction, even though fruitive, are considered punya or pious according to Srila Jiva Goswami, and thus one who strictly performs them will not go to the hell. Lord Krishna himself states in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 11:29, Tavat karmani kurvita na nirvidyate yavata mat katha shavanadava shraddha yavan najayate. One should continue to perform the Vedic ritualistic activities until one actually becomes detached from material sense gratification and develops faith for hearing and chanting about me. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Vedas prescribe that one rise early in the morning, bathe and chant the Gayatri Mantra. If one artificially gives up such disciplined, regulated life, one will gradually become a victim of activities for gross sense gratification, such as eating in restaurants and indulging in illicit connections with women. Thus, losing control of his senses, he becomes just like an animal, engaging from the early morning until the night in the dangerous activities. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam has commented in this regard, Agya san acharan api. Although in ignorance, one continues to act, not considering the future result of one's activities. Such indifference to the future results of one's activities is described in Bhagavad Gita to be a symptom of mode of ignorance. Just as an intelligent man will not drive his car on a highway if he knows the highway will lead him to danger, an intelligent man will not perform non-Vedic activities if he knows that the ultimate result will be disaster, described here by the words Mrityur Mrityum Upayati. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has stated that ignorant persons sometimes think that after death one ultimately attains everlasting peace. But by the powerful reactions of one's sinful activities, one comes to a most unpeaceful condition. for one must suffer hellish miseries in exchange for meager temporary foods of material world. Such hellish reactions occur not once but perpetually as long as one is indifferent to the Vedic injunctions. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sva Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Dushe Nama. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balbhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Nama Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Padidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So thank you everybody for being present here for today's Śrīmad Bhāgavatam class. I seek blessings of all devotees so that I can speak something for my own purification. So this is an extremely beautiful verse, this discussion between Maharaj Nimi and Navagendras. नाचरेत यस्तु वेदोक्तम स्वयं अज्ञ जितेंद्रिया विकर्मणा हि अधर्मेण मृत्यु पैति स. If an ignorant person who has not conquered the material senses does not adhere to the Vedic injunction, certainly he will engage in sinful and irreligious activities. First is, if somebody is ignorant, he will not have control of mind and senses. To control mind and senses is not so easy thing. Mind and senses needs proper engagement. And person in knowledge knows what is proper engagement. Person in ignorance may just be carried by his instinct. So generally, ignorant person will not have mind and sense control. Here it is said, if ignorant person who has not conquered material senses does not adhere to Vedic injunction, generally ignorant person will not have mind and sense control. And one who has no mind and sense control, and if he doesn't follow Vedic injunction, what will happen? He will engage in sinful and irreligious activities. Nai kashishanimapi jatu tishtati akaramkrit. Nobody can stay without not doing anything. If one is not doing something valuable, fruitful, something positive as per direction of scriptures, as per direction of guru, sadhus, no? Then one will definitely do something which is inappropriate and which is sinful, which is irreligious. Thus his reward will be repeated birth and death. So we see in the previous verse it was stated that all the futile activities are prescribed in the Vedas. The actual goal of human life is to free oneself from materialistic activities. Therefore, one may conclude that there is no need to perform Vedic rituals which offer regulated sense gratification. So Vedas are prescribing, generally we see, most of the people in this world are ignorant in Kali Yuga. They are uncivilized. Uncivilized means they don't know goal of life. They don't have faith in God. They don't have faith in scriptures. And they live life just like animals. Ahar nidra bhaya maithunam cha etat samanam pashubi narana. So most of the people, most of the population generally live life like animals. Sophisticated animal life. So that is called as Dvipada Pashu. They are not called human beings. They are called as Dvipada Pashu, two-legged animal. However, when one becomes fortunate, he may come to the point of inquiring, Athoto Brahma Jigyasa, what is the goal of my life? Then he may start following Vedic injunctions, start accepting God, start following. Then some kind of civilized life happens. So that is called as Karma Kanda section. So in the animal life, animalistic life, Dvipad Pashu, people may desire sense gratification and they do sense gratification without any regard to God or Vedic injunction. In Karma Kanda section, people may desire sense gratification, but at least they have regard for God, they have regard for scriptures, and they want to do sense gratification as per prescription, regulated sense gratification. So here it is said that people may follow some fruity activities prescribed in Vedas so that they can get sense gratification. However, the goal of Vedas or goal of human form life is not just sense gratification. Goal is actually to rise above this sense gratification and come to spiritual platform when one can love God and serve all selflessly without any desire for sense gratification. So here it is said that sometimes one may think, oh, anyway, I have to give up sense gratification, I have to give up all these materialistic activities, I have to give up this karma kanda, everything. So maybe I just give up and I will try to follow higher standards. So one may conclude that there is no need to perform Vedic rituals which offer regulated sense gratification. But an ignorant person, or in other words, one who has not understood that he is not the material body but an eternal spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, will inevitably be unable to control the urges of material senses. Therefore, if such materially inclined person neglects Vedic injunction that administer regulated sense gratification, he will surely fall down into unregulated sense gratification, that is pampa or sinful life. So, this renunciation is not based on ignorance, is not based on frustration. It should be based on knowledge, understanding that this understand proper sambandha gyan. I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this intelligence, I am not this false identities, whatever I may think. I am spirit soul, I am Atma, Jiver Swarupa Krishna Nityadas, and my eternal engagement is to love and serve Krishna. Unless one is situated with proper this understanding, gyan, sambandha gyan, And then based on this samadhi, unless one is properly engaged in service of Krishna actively, his mind and senses will be engaged in something wrong, something negative. So artificial just giving up activities is not very conducive for one's progress in spiritual life. So we see repeatedly Krishna in Bhagavad condemns Arjuna. Whenever Arjuna is thinking of renouncing, he says, no, you should not renounce. In the beginning, Krishna is giving arguments which are karma kandi arguments, fruity arguments, why you should not give up work. Oh, you are thinking you will suffer sinful reaction, so I don't want to fight. Oh, you are thinking you will not get any enjoyment if your near and dear ones will die. You are thinking there is no benefit in fighting, let me renounce. Krishna says, no, you are Kshatriya, you should fight. Because Kshatriyas, if they fight, they do their duties, there are two possibilities. One possibility is that they will win the war, another possibility is they will lose the war. If they win the war, they will get the kingdom, earthly kingdom, and they will enjoy. And if you lose the war, you die in the war, then one will go to heaven. So Krishna is giving karma kande reasons why one should not give up duty. Because if by performing duty, one can be happy in this world, and even when external results one fails, next life one will be happier if one has executed one's duties very nicely. However, when one is little more advanced, one is told karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Okay, you act, but don't think about results. Don't think whether you will get kingdom this life or you will enjoy next life. Just do your duty. If you do your duty, the result of doing your duties, you will get transcendental knowledge. You will get realizations. You will understand how we are not this really body, and ultimately one will understand Supreme Lord. So one will get transcendental knowledge. And after that, one may become more detached. Knowledge leads to detachment. If one is thinking I am this body, and one thinks goal of life is sense gratification, one may be attached to sense gratification. But when develops trans knowledge, I am not this body, then one understand just by gratifying body I cannot be happy. Then one can become little detached. When one thinks I am this body only, then think if I have to be happy, I have to gratify my body. But when one understands, no, I am not body, I am spirit, soul, Atma, one can be little detached. More one identifies with body and mind and senses, more is attached, sensitive. More one rises above it, more he can become detached. And then he can further study. When one is detached from desires for sense, then we can sit peacefully. If one is not detached, one will be very active. Then it's very difficult to sit peacefully and study scriptures. Sitting peacefully and studying scriptures is very difficult. Relatively engaging in service is easier. So when new people come, it's very, very important that they are engaged properly. Only philosophy will not work, because first of all, to understand philosophy, one they have to sit peacefully is very difficult. And also understanding is not so easy. They need some purified intelligence. So engaging appropriately is very important. When one is engaged appropriately, one is purified, then one slowly one gets Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashito, some knowledge about I am not this body and spirit. Then slowly one can become detached. Slowly one can be in goodness, one can peaceful. Slowly then one can understand philosophy more better. One can study scriptures peacefully. So one may gradually be uplifted from Karma Kanda level to Karma Yoga level. In the beginning one may follow Sakam Karma Yoga, later on one may come to Nishkam Karma Yoga platform. And then one may come to Jnana Yoga, where one becomes detached and focus on scriptures. Then one can come to Ashtanga Yoga platform, where one's mind and senses become completely controlled, so that he can focus and especially meditate on Super Soul in the heart. And then if one is fortunate, one can come in touch with the association of devotees, where one can understand who is God, and then one can meditate on Lord in the heart, understanding I am not God, but I am servant of God. And then one may be able to practice Bhakti Yoga. In association of devotees, one can develop devotion. So gradually one can progress. So this is one way, gradual progress. Other ways, somehow fortunately, if somebody comes in association of devotees, one can directly from animal life come to devotional path and then practice Krishna consciousness under guidance of a bona fide spiritual master in association of devotees, and one can gradually progress. So without undergoing this step-by-step process. But in both the cases, it's very important that one follows scriptures and one is properly engaged. If one doesn't follow scriptures and whimsically try to jump over, then one may not be able to sustain his advancement and one may degrade. Or if somebody concocts his own rules and regulations, then also there will be problem. So in path of Krishna consciousness or in spiritual path, one has to be honest, and one should practice this path under direction of Guru, Sadhu and Shastras, not whimsically. In modern times also, many people they also want to be spiritual, but many times they don't follow the proper scriptural injunctions, and they concoct their own theories, own philosophies, and then later on one will not be able to sustain that path and one may invariably degrade. So here it is said in this verse that a person should accept scriptures and one person should not give up scriptural injunctions to even whimsically renounce, because that renunciation may not be sustainable and one may eventually fall prey to Maya. So like some examples are given, like here it is said in Vedic injunction there is a prescription for Vivaha Yajna. If somebody is not able to control mind and senses and stay without association of opposite sex, it is recommended one gets married. Jai Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. But imagine somebody is not able to control senses and he doesn't also want to get married and artificially tries and to control, and if he is not properly engaged in all this, someone may end up in illicit sex. So that is not very healthy for spiritual progress. So scriptures are given something, there are always some ways, and it's not that if one gets married one cannot progress in Krishna consciousness. No, in married also life, our Acharyas explain how can one practice and advance in Krishna consciousness. So one should follow the injunctions of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra as per one's level, and not concoct or not try to jump over artificially. Like there is injunction that one should take prasad, but if one artificially gives a prasad and tries to practice some austerities beyond his capability, then one may end up eating unacceptable food items. One may make show of fasting and all this thing, but then one may eat outside food, and then one may eat abominable food, and one may degrade. So it is explained, okay, you don't have to artificial practice, you eat nice prasad and be happy. But eat only prasad, don't eat outside. Similarly, okay, if you need association of opposite sex, okay, get married, but only associate with wife, don't have any outside marriage, So all these injunctions are helpful. It's not troublesome. One should not think, why this troublesome? Marriage is troublesome, or maybe ultimately I have to give up sense gratification. Why not give up eating as much as possible? I can practice more and more austere thing, But then, if it is beyond our adhikar, it may not be sustainable. So it's very important that one is honest and one is humble, and one should have sincere desire to progress, and for that then one should be ready to surrender oneself to scriptural injunctions, to Guru's injunctions, Sadhu's injunctions, and practice Krishna consciousness nicely. So here very nice example is given in purport. Like sometimes father wants to give medicine to child, and father puts medicine in candy and gives candy. So actually its candy is there, it's sweet, very nice, but in the candy there is medicine also. So if child rejects candy, it is said he may reject the medicine also. So Vedas are very brilliant. So it may appear to be little, so many rules, regulations, but within that there is actually medicine which will cure a person. And so it is said, in Krishna says in Bhagavatam 11:29, Tavat karmani kurvite na nirvidyet yavata mat katha shavanadava shraddha yavan ajayate. One should continue to perform Vedic ritualistic activities until one actually becomes detached from material sense gratification and develops faith for hearing and chanting about me. So Krishna is saying, till one develops faith in hearing chanting, one should follow Vedic injunctions, rituals. But when one develops faith in Krishna, and especially one develops faith in hearing and chanting, then there is no need to follow Vedic ritualist, different yagya and sacrifices and all these things. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Vedas prescribe one to rise early in the morning, bathe and chant the Gayatri Mantra. If one artificially gives up such disciplined, regulated life, one will gradually become a victim of activities for gross sense gratification, such as eating in restaurants and indulging in illicit connections with women. So, certain things may appear, it's a part of sadhana, even in devotional service. It may not be but if you follow that discipline, will be purified. And if you don't follow discipline, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that if someone becomes lazy, starts neglecting getting up early morning, start neglecting taking baths, start neglecting chanting, all these things, then slowly one may degrade. Thus losing control of his senses, he becomes just like animal, engaging from early morning until night in dangerous activities. Madhvacharya has commented, although in ignorance one continues to act, not considering the future result of one's activities, such indifference to future results of one's activities is symptom of mode of ignorance. Just as intelligent man will not drive his car on highway if he knows highway is leading to dangerous destination, so intelligent man will not perform non-Vedic activities if he knows that ultimate result will be disaster. So Vedas are like mother, always they are thinking for welfare only. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has stated that ignorant persons sometimes think that after death one automatically attains everlasting peace. People think after death I will achieve peace. But not necessary. If one has acted sinfully, after death one may meet Yamaraj and one may have to suffer terribly. So therefore our acharyas are very expert. They have given sadhana bhakti, so that we can be in sadhana bhakti. There is discipline. Though even if you don't have spontaneous love for God and spontaneous attraction, but if one follows sadhana bhakti and one is engaged appropriately as per direction of Guru Shastra, then one will be elevated. And the perfection of practicing sadhana bhaktis, then slowly one will develop attraction for Supreme Lord, and finally one will develop love for God. And when one evolves further in science of God consciousness, there are a lot of stages in perfection also. Achieving love for God, but in love for God also there is love in Shantaras, then love in Dasyaras, then love in Sakyaras, and then love in Vatsalyaras, then love in Madhuras. So there are more and more higher stages of love, and one can progress further and further. And Madhurya Ras also, there are two types of ras. There is a Swakiya Madhurya Ras and Parkiya Madhurya Ras. Swakiya means love that queens have for Krishna in married relationship with Krishna. The love of Rukmini, love of Satyabhama, that is Swakiya Madhurya Ras. And Parkiya Madhurya Ras is love that gopis have for Krishna. And in Parkiya Madhurya Ras also there are two things: love in union and love in separation. Like when Krishna was there in Vrindavan, he was with residents of Vrindavan. They were feeling the presence of Krishna and they were living in presence of Krishna. That was love in union. But then Krishna left Vrindavan, and then there was love in separation. Krishna was there in Vrindavan for only 10, 11 years. But for more than 100 years, Krishna was out of Vrindavan. So all devotees were loving Krishna in separation, and that was more intense than love in union. So there are various stages of love, and topmost stage is actually love of Krishna, loving Krishna in separation. And that is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us. Aradhya Bhagwan Vrajesh Tanaya Tadhama Rundavanam Ramya Kachit Vrajavajur Vargena Kalpita Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Pramanam Abanam Prema Pumarto Mahan. So, worshipable object is Aradhya Bhagwan Vrajesh Tanaya, son of Nanda Maharaj, son of King of Raja, Nanda Maharaj. And the topmost place of worship is Vrindavan. And topmost mode of worship is following the footstep of gopis of Vrindavan. And how do we know this? We know this based on the praman of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Prema Pumarto Mahan. So this love, achieving this love is the perfection of life or goal of life. Not dharma, artha, kam, moksha. Yes, dharma, artha, kam, moksha is there as long as one is in the fruitive mentality in karma context. But beyond that, ultimately one understands that real purushartha is to achieve love. And ultimate love is following in footsteps of gopis of Vrindavan. So we see that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, he appeared in Navadip. And in Navadip, he was primarily as a small boy, as a teenager. He was playing the role of Pandit. And he was a champion Pandit. He defeated all the scholars in Navadip, and especially the big scholar Digvijay Pandit. So he became world champion at a very, very young age. And then later on we see that when he goes to Gaya and he becomes devotee, and then he gives up this scholarship. So much of years he is playing that role as a Nimai Pandit, great scholar. But after that he is giving it up to become a devotee of Krishna. So 500 years ago, this becoming scholar was considered a very great thing. Scholars were very, very worshipped, adored, respected. Like in modern times we see sports stars, film stars. These people are very much adored and worshipped. They become very famous. Many people follow them. But in 500 years ago or 1000 years ago, 5000 years ago, generally sports stars, film stars were not adored so much. They were respected but not so much. who were most respected were the scholars, Pandits. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the topmost Pandit. He achieved in one way in material life perfection. But then after that he gave that perfection, understanding it to be insignificant, understanding it to be not the goal of life. And then he became devotee to teach whole world that actually goal of life is to be devotee of Krishna, to practice bhakti yoga, to develop love for Krishna. So we see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he is going to Gaya, he is going with his students, and on the way he falls sick and he gets fever, and all students are trying to bring different vaidyas, different doctors, and trying to cure Nimai Pandit, but he doesn't get cured. His fever is not reducing. Then they are in great anxiety, and then Nimai Pandit, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, my fever will not go like this. He said, you should find a wonderful devotee, wash his feet, and then you give the water which has washed the feet of devotee. Then by drinking that water, I will be purified. So this fear of material existence is not going to extinguish by any material element. Only when one receives the mercy of a devotee will that fear of material existence slowly subside. So we see when Mahaprabhu drinks the water which has washed the feet of a devotee, immediately his fear subsides and he becomes healthy. And then he proceeds to Gaya, where he meets Ishwar Puri, and where he begs initiation from Ishwar Puri. And then Ishwar Puri gives him a mantra, and when he chants the mantra and meditates on that mantra, immediately he develops symptoms of love. He becomes mad, he becomes ecstatic, and he becomes overwhelmed. And then he goes back to Ishwar Puri and asks, Kiva mantra dila Gosai? What kind of mantra have you given? This Japite Korila Pagal, this mantra is so extraordinary that just by chanting I am becoming mad, I am losing myself, my hairs are standing on end, my voice is getting choked up, tears are coming in my eyes, I don't know what's happening. Then Ishwar Puri hears this, he feels very happy. He said, oh my dear boy, you achieved perfection. This is perfection chanting Hare Krishna. I am so proud of you. So Prabhupada writes in purport that spiritual master is very happy when his disciple advances in Krishna, and especially if he chants offenselessly and develops love for God. So best way to please spiritual master is if we can develop love for Krishna by sincerely practicing Krishna, especially by sincerely chanting Hare Krishna. So Mahaprabhu becomes a transformed person, and then when he is returning back to Gaya, from Gaya to Navadip, he comes to Kanai Natshala. And at Kanai Natshala, he sees a beautiful place, beautiful gardens, beautiful trees, tamal trees, and immediately experiences Vrindavan. And he goes in great ecstasy. And then he sees there beautiful blue boy, very effulgent, with a peacock feather, and then very amazing flute, playing very melodiously, wearing the silk pitambar vastra, and having a beautiful sharp kundal earring. And when he sees it, he becomes so captivated by the beauty of Krishna. And Krishna comes and embraces Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And practically he loses himself. And then Krishna disappears. And when he disappears, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes so agitated and starts madly calling, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Now one may wonder, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, what is here? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seeing Krishna, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Krishna embracing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but in Golok Vrindavan, actually there are two parts. One is Navadip Leela and Vrindavan Leela. In Vrindavan Leela, Krishna is there in Shyam Sundar form and performs pastime with Vrajavasis, Gopis and all these things, where he performs the rasa dance and all the things. And there's other part in the spiritual world in Golok Vrindavan, that is Navadip Leela, where Krishna is there in combined form, Radha Krishna together as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that is eternally present. It's not that it is a temporary form. So eternally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, and eternally he is trying to relish the love of Radha in separation from Krishna. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to teach that. So when he is teaching it, so there is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eternally and Krishna is also eternally. Though both are the same person, but they have expanded. Like Krishna expands in form of Balram, expands in form of many incarnations. Krishna expands in form of Ram, he expands in form of Narsimhadev. So all are there. Parshuram, so many things. So we can see sometimes two incarnations meeting each other also. Though they are one person, but they have expanded. So Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are one, but still they are two. And we see therefore in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when Jagannath Puri also, when he sees Jagannath is Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also Krishna, but in mode of Radharani, and then he is feeling that separation. So we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Krishna disappears, he becomes so mad. And he starts running here and there. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And he is not able to see Krishna, so he starts running towards Vrindavan. And then voice spoke from the sky. Oh, my dear Lord, you are our Lord and Master. But we just want to inform you that you have come here to spread the Sankirtan movement. And you have not started it. So maybe you should first go to Navadip and start your Sankirtan movement. And maybe in future you can come for, Vrindavan. Then Mahaprabhu hearing that gets pacified and then comes to Navadip. And when Navadip, when he comes, he was a different person. Earlier he was a great scholar, Pandit, but now he is not able to speak anything on ordinary grammar and all that. Every grammar thing also he is explaining in terms of Krishna, and he is practically mad with Krishna. And one time when he arranges one meeting with all devotees were amazed to see the transformation. And devotees asked Nimai Pandit, what brought you about such transformation? Then he explains how he went to Gaya, he met spiritual master Ishwar Puri, how he got the holy names, and then when he was returning, how in Kanai Natchal he saw a beautiful person, and how that beautiful person captivated his heart. He saw Krishna, how that Krishna embraced him, and then how Krishna left. And then when he was telling all this thing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again fainted, become unconscious. And then when he comes back to consciousness, he just starts crying, where is Krishna, where is Krishna? And he's in so much of pain. So all devotees are trying to pacify him. Oh, Krishna is there in the heart. And when he thinks Krishna is there, he tries to break open the heart. Then they say, no, Krishna is coming, So they are trying to pacify him. After some time, devotees told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, why don't you chant Hare Krishna and lead us in Nama Sankirtan? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started this Nama Sankirtan, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he experiences Krishna, because Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasagra Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatvam Nama Namani. That chanting holy names of Krishna and Krishna are not different. So he experiences presence of Krishna in holy name, and then he becomes pacified. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chanting because he is feeling separation from Krishna, and by chanting he is feeling presence of Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chanting Vipralamba Bhav. Vipra means that which is apart. Alamba means to attain. To attain what is at distance. So Vipralamba means externally one is separated from Krishna, but internally one is connected with Krishna. So this love in separation, this is not possible for material things or material person, because material thing or material person is not abhinatvam, is different. Material object is different and name is different. Material person is different and his name is different. But for Krishna, this is possible. Krishna may be far away, one may feel separate, but one chants his names, one remembers Krishna, one can feel the presence. So I will just read one song Very nice song. Let me find if I can find out this song. गाइते गाइते नाम की दशा होइलो, कृष्ण नित्य दास मोई हृदय स्फुरिलो. Bhakti Thakur is saying, गाइते गाइते नाम की दशा होइलो. What has happened to me by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Krishna nitya das mui hridaya spurilo. By chanting I have realized that I am eternal servant of Krishna. Just theoretically studying scriptures, no matter how much we won't be able to realize this. This realization comes by mercy of Krishna. Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashito. And Bhakti Thakur is saying, by chanting Hare Krishna, what has happened that I have realized that I am Krishna's eternal. Krishna Nitya Das Mui Hridaya Spurilo. This realization has come in my heart by chanting Hare Krishna. This realization cannot come just by material scholarship, just by studies. To understand I am not this body, I am spirit soul. And to understand I am servant of Krishna, eternal servant of Krishna. And I have no other duty, but only duty is to love and serve Krishna. So Bhakti Thakur is saying, Gaite Gaite Naam Ki Dasha Hoilo, Krishna Nitya Das Mai Hridaya Spurilo. Just by chanting, I have come to realize this. जानीलाम माया पाशे ये जड़ जगते, गोविंद विरहे दुख पाई नाना मते. And now I have realized that because I have turned away from Krishna, dukha paye nana mate. Because of turning away from, now I understand I have suffered terribly. My root cause of all suffering is that I have turned away from Krishna. Before that I was thinking I am suffering because I don't have money, I am suffering because this person did something for me, that person did something for me, I am suffering because of this, grahas are not proper, I am suffering because this happened, that happened, so many things. But now I realize actually I am suffering because of my great blunder. I did a big blunder. The most important relationship which I had, I cut that relationship. My relationship with Krishna, I turned away from Krishna. And because of that, Dukha pai nana mate, I have suffered terribly. Araje samsara moro nahi lage bhalo, kaha jaye Krishna heri, ehi chinta visho. Now after understanding I am not this body and spirit soul, I am eternal servant of Krishna, and I am understanding why I have suffered terribly. I suffered just because I have turned away from Krishna. Now I have lost all interest in material life. This world nahi lago bhalo. And now my only chinta is, how can I achieve Krishna? Kaha jaye Krishna heri, yehi chinta vishalo. All my chinta for money, chinta for prestige, chinta for surrender has gone away. Now I have only one chinta. How can I achieve Krishna? Kandite kandite moro akhe varishaya, varsha dharo hei, chaksha hoile uday. And now I am just crying. My eyes are filled with tears like monsoon rain comes like that, no? Rain of tears are falling from my eyes. Nimesha hoila moro sat yuga sama, govinda vire ar sahite nakshama. So now it's very difficult to live without Krishna. It's very difficult to tolerate separation from Krishna. Everything is appearing null and void, meaningless without Krishna. So, as one advances Krishna consciousness, one feels need for Krishna, and one cannot live without Krishna. So now for us at our stage we may not feel that much, but at least we should not be able to live without chanting Hare Krishna, without hearing Krishna Katha, without associating with devotees. No? When one little bit get taste in Krishna consciousness, later on it becomes unbearable to live outside association of devotees. It becomes unbearable to live without hearing and chanting. So he says, Shunya dharatala chaudike dekhiya parana uday sahoya. Ki kori, sthira nahi hoya, jivan nahi koroy. So now all directions I am feeling empty, And what should I do? What should I do? I don't know. I am not able to maintain my life. Brajavasi gana mora prana rakho dekho Shri Radhanathe. Oh my dear Brajavasis, please somehow show your mercy and maintain my life by showing darshan of Krishna. Bhakti Vinod Minati Manaya Laho Tahai Sate. Bhakti Vinod is begging, please fulfill this one request of Bhakti Vinod by giving your wonderful assertion. Sri Krishna Viray Ara Sahita Napari Parana Chaditi Ara Dina Duichari. Now I am not able to tolerate separation from Krishna. It seems that I have only 2-4 days to live. Somehow, oh Brajavasis, please bless me, give me some assertion of Krishna. So, we see this intense feelings of separation. This what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to teach. When one get taste, then actually one can give up sense gratification. One is developing some taste in Krishna consciousness, feeling need for Krishna, feeling some separation from Krishna, feeling separation from satsanga, separation from chanting. Then one can give up sense gratification. But if one is not feeling anything for Krishna, then one should at least follow Vedic injunction, at least lead a life as per Varnashrama and lead a civilized life. Otherwise, one may get degraded. However, if one is, by association, one is able to develop some taste in Krishna consciousness, then one can transcend all these rules, Vedic rituals. However, even after transcending Vedic rituals, one follows the morality of this world. Not that in name of being transcended one becomes immoral, and one continues to be actively engaged, if not in materialist activities, if not in fruity activities, at least actively engaged in devotional service of Krishna. Okay? So thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you very much.